Hello. Before I start the presentation, I would like to um, introduce myself. First, my name is Lordan Shah with student number A1B2, A1B224032. And today, the topic of presentation is listening and listening. And my points is for processing stages of listening. So, I would like to start with the um, meaning of for processing stages of listening. Listening is not a simple activity. It involves several mental process that happen very quickly. And the first one is recognition. At this stage, learners recognize the speech sounds and store them briefly in their short-term memory. It's like they identify phonemes, individuals, sounds. And the second is they recognize words, stress, and intonation with patterns. And the last is the information is temporarily held as a metal imprint. Example like hearing the difference between sheep and sheep. The first is sheep, like SHIP, and the second is SHAAP, and how to pronounce this word like sheep and sheep, like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the second is determination. Here, a listener determine the type of speech event and focus on the context and content. The like, is it a conversation, lecture, announcement, or question, or who is speaking? What is the situation? Example like realizing that the speaker is giving direction, not telling a story. Like you, you give a direction with the structure and pattern, not the tell with the rules of the story. You know what I mean, like that. And the third is interpretation. This in this stage, listener assigned meaning to what they hear using, like bottom up processing, focusing on words, grammar, and sounds, and top down processing using a background knowledge and context. Like they understand both literal meaning and indeed meaning implied message. Example, understanding that it's cold in here might be a request to close the window, or you just tell the expression like it's cold in here, like it's meaning might be a different meaning in different contexts. And the last one is retention. Retention, yes. Finally, listener retain important information in long-term memory. Like the contact words are usually forgotten. The key ideas is important information are remembered. Example like remembering the main idea of a lecture, not every sentence, but just the main idea. You know the points, what the lecturer said, or give the um, ideas. And four basic types of listening performance. The next is four basic types of listening performance. In language assessment, um, you need to know about the listening tasks are divided into four main types based on difficulty and purpose. Like the first one is in intensive listening. This type focuses on small linguistic units, um, such as sounds, words, and grammar. Uh, Recognizing phonemes, identifying stress and intonation, like, and then this distinguishing grammatical forms. Example, when the lecturer or teacher give you a task, um, minimal pair discrimination like leaving versus leaving. The first like leaving, Leveng, versus L Leaveng, like that. Recognizing past tense endings like miss and missed. You need to give the stress at the end. Like the first one is miss, and the second missed. You need to pronounce with stress like that. And the second is responsive listening. It means like this involves short stretches of speech that require short responses, answering simple question from your teacher or lecturer or your friends, and responding to greetings like good morning, hello guys, how are you doing, you doing good, yes I'm good, and following short commands. And example like how much time did you take, a correct response like about an hour. And the third, selective listening. This type require learners to listen and for specific information in longer discourse, like name, numbers, dates, direction, specific facts, and like the example like listening close, fill in missing words, and chart filling, map marking, a form completion, a completion. Um, this to test the ability to scan and extract key information. The four, the fourth, extensive listening. This focuses on global understanding of longer spoken text, like understanding main ideas and identifying supporting details and making inferences. And the last one is interpreting meaning. Like interpreting meaning, it is example task like listening to lectures and note taking or summarizing and retelling stories, and to assess top down processing and overall comprehension. And then uh, the listening involves four mental stages: recognition, determination, interpretation, and retention. And listening performance is categorized into a four type: intensive, responsive, selective, and extensive. And then good listening assessment should match the task type with the learning objective, like and balance both bottom up micro skills and top down macro skills processing. And I think that's all for me. And yeah, I think that's all for me. If I made mistakes, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know how to say it anymore. Thank you.
Let's talk about to the next slide. Micro and macro skills of listening. In this slide, it is explained that there are 17 specific objectives in assessing listening, which are divided into two major categories, micro skills and macro skills. For the first one is micro skills. Micro skills are related to bottom and up processing. This means that learners understand language starting from the smallest unit. These include the ability to discriminate sounds, recognize readers' forms, identify word boundaries, process stress and intonation, recognize grammatical elements, understand word order, and detect plosive devices in discourse. In other words, the focus is on detailed language components. Students build meaning step by step from small linguistic elements. On the other hand, maker skills are related to top and down processing. Here, learners understand meaning by using context and background knowledge. They are expected to recognize communicative function, identify main ideas and supporting details, understand cause and effect relationship, distinguish between literal and implied meaning, use nonverbal cues, and apply listening strategy. For example, in class to assess micro skills, a teacher may ask students to distinguish between sounds such as sheep or couple and sheep for domba. To assess micro skill, the teacher may play a short conversation and ask students to identify the main idea or the speaker's intonation. Therefore, effective listening assessment should include both micro skills and macro skills. Let's have a look to what makes listening difficult. So, listening is often considered difficult because of several factors. First, clustering. Spoken language is produced in chunks or phrases, not word by word. For example, the boy who wore glasses. It means the boy who wore glasses. Second, redundancy. In natural speech, speakers often repeat or rephrase ideas. It means what I mean is like we should students confuse which is the more important and not. Third, reduced forms such as going to gonna, and want to for wanna, common in informal speech. Fourth, performance variables, including hasses, hesitations, and self-correction, like speech music, like I want to the what pharmacy, and students expect the speech is smooth. Fifth, colloquial language, such as idiom and slang expressions. Slang of that's sick. It means that's cool, not sick. And sixth, rate of delivery, meaning the speed of speech. Native speaker speak in 150 until 180 words instead of textbook. Seventh, prosodic elements such as stress, rhythm, and intonation. Stress change meaning like I didn't say phrases. I didn't say. 8. Interaction, which involves managing listening and responding in real-time communication. For example, when students hear the sentence, I'm gonna tell ya, they may feel confused because it is a radius from of I'm going to tell you. This shows that listening difficulty is not only about vocabulary, but also about the natural characteristic of spoken language. Let's jump into the next slide. We talk about designing assessment tasks. We have many categories of them, but for the first, I want to tell you the first category. It is intensive listening task. Intensive listening task. This slide discusses how to design assessment tasks for intensive listening. Intensive listening focuses on detailed language elements. The first step is recognizing phonological and morphological elements. For example, distinguishing between he is and she is, or between living and living. Students may also differentiate between miss and missed, or identify differences in stress between can and can't. This text trains students to pay close attention to sound and word forms. The second type is verb-phrase recognition. This means recognizing the same meaning expressed in different forms. For example, if students hear, I came from Japan, they should understand that it is equivalent to I am Japanese. In classroom practice, the teacher may play a short sentence and ask students to choose the correct verb phrase. And then the teacher may also ask students to discriminate between similar sounds. The main focus is accuracy in understanding small linguistic details.
Hello everyone, I'm Ratu Amelia with student number A1B224103. So now I will explain this slide, responsive listening. Responsive listening use a question and answer format and provide interactivity in lower and listening tasks. There are several format options used in this type of assessment. The first is multiple choice responses to questions, and then the second, appropriate response selection, and then the third, open-ended written or spoken responses. For example, students listen to a question like, "How much time did you take to do your homework?" and they choose the most appropriate answer. The main testing objective here is recognition of weighted questions and producing appropriate response. And then the next slide is about selective listening. Okay, selective listening in part 1. The first activity is listening clues, also called partial dictation. In this task, students listen to a passage while reading a transcript with missing words. They need to fill in the missing words or phrase. This activity can focus on specific grammar such as verb, article, or preposition, and often use high information item like number or dates. The scoring method usually requires exact words. And then the second activity is a sentence repetition. Yeah, students repeat. In this activity, students repeat sentence or part of sentence orally. This task tests both retention and comprehension. However, it can also involve short-term memory and oral production. When students make mistakes in repetition, it may show problems in listening comprehension. And then the next slide about selective listening in part 2. Okay, selecting listening in part 2, which focuses on information transfer techniques. There are several common task types. The first is a multiple picture cue selection, where students choose the correct picture based on audio. And then the second is about single picture cue verbal multiple choice, where students listen to statements and select the one that matches the pictures. And then the third, card filling tasks, such as completing schedules or timetables. And then the fourth, map marking task, where students identify location or routes on maps. And then the fifth, form competition, where students fill in a form using information from listening. And then the sixth is diagram labeling, which requires labeling parts of diagrams based on the descriptions. Okay, these tasks help learners focus on specific information and transfer what they hear into another format. Okay, I think that's all I can say from my part. Thank you, and I will continue to the next presenters. Bye bye.
Okay, so I'm here would like to explain about extensive listening. So, extensive listening focuses on global understanding or top-down processing. It means students are expected to understand the overall meaning, main ideas, and implied message from longer spoken texts such as lectures, conversations, or stories. So in part 1, There are two main types of assessment tasks. First one is dictation or qualitative extensive. The first task is dictation. In this activity, students listen to the passage of about 50 to 100 words. The passage is usually played 3 times. At first, at normal speed to get the general idea, and second, at a slower speed with pauses so students can write, and the third again at normal speed to check the proofread their answers. Although dictation seems simple, it actually integrates multiple skills like listening, writing, grammar, spelling, and of course the last one is discourse understanding. So the scoring usually focuses on spelling errors, grammar mistakes, missing words, and the last one is mispresentations of meaning. Even though it is called qualitative extensive, it still trains students to understand longer stretches of spoken language. So we move to the second main types is communicative. So stimulus response tasks. The second type is communicative stimulus response tasks. In this task, students listen to the monologue, dialogue, or conversation. After that, they answer comparison questions, usually in multiple choice format. So this type of task measures the understanding of the main idea, specific details, inference, and implied meaning. So for example, students might listen to a conversation between two people and answer questions like what is the main topic, why did the speaker feel upset, and what can be inferred about the situation. So this task is more communicative because it reflects real life listening situation. So in summary, extensive listening part 1 focuses on lower discourse, global comprehension, and integration of multiple languages. And now I will continue to extensive listening part 2, which focuses more on authentic listening tasks. These tasks aim to mirror real-life listening situation and classroom reality. There are 4 main types. The first one is note-taking. The first task is note-taking in this activity. Students listen to the lecture, usually around 15 minutes long, and take notes. So the scoring is based on accuracy of information, organization and visual representation, use of symbol or abbreviations. And this task is very authentic because it reflects what students actually do in real life academic settings. And the second one is editing. The second task is editing. In this activity, students read written version of the text, then they listen to the spoken version, and then the last one, they must identify differences between the 2 versions. This task careful listening and attention to detail. It helps students notice small change in correct information and also the missing or added details. And the third one is interpretive tasks. The third type is interpretive tasks. Students listen to song lyrics, poetry, news, short stories, and then they answer inferential questions. So they open a Q&A sessions. This text measures emotional interpretation, implied meaning, and tone of speaker intentions. So students are not just listening for facts, but also for the deeper meaning. And then the fourth or the last one is retelling or summarizing. The students listen to the story or news event, and then retell it orally or write it summary. This task requires students to identify the gist, recognize main ideas, and also the last one, organize supporting details. It strongly measures global comprehension, top-down processing. Thank you.